Hey everyone, welcome to the comms meeting. It's a really cool point that we're at right now because we're just kind of at the doorway for a lot of neat things. The agenda is posted, and I'll also post this link for anybody who wants to review it again or catch up or whatever. So no problem there. So I just want a quick start off is like life for me over here has been really crazy. I had a death in the family last week or recently. And so my head's been a little bit scrambled eggs. And so what I've been using that energy is to kind of focus on writing stuff for the group and, just trying to work on documentation. But yeah, the craziness for 2020 just keeps getting bigger and bolder and better. How are you doing, Wink?
Oh,
there's Sarah.
well, I'll just keep talking because this is flop. And we're having a heat wave for East Coast, so enjoying that. It's like keep thinking it's our last one, but with global warming, it just keeps, yeah. So yesterday was the 90s. It's gorgeous today. It'll be in the high 70s. So, hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
So,
Greetings.
Nexus, you're up.
Hey, Nexus, see him here, his here for those I haven't met yet. Yeah, life's been really interesting lately. I guess most recently the thing that just happened, I don't think we've shared it publicly, but I've just been elected to the board of Comfort and Joy, specifically as their first diversity, equity, and inclusion officer. So that's exciting. It'll be really interesting to kind of be involved in work virtually, but also trying to figure out how to be intentional about being present on the West Coast and travel once traveling and live events come back. So I'm really excited about that because I don't know, even though there are a bunch of like LGBTQ burners here in DC, I feel like some of them only plug into the community around the big burn. And I really selfishly am hoping to figure out how to really galvanize that community year round here, as whether it's an extension of C&J or just like its own thing. So yeah, I'm kind of really excited about that because this whole pandemic has really made me kind of reevaluate community and community that cares, and candidly kind of been a little disappointed with the local burner community in terms of like providing healing support for marginalized people, especially during this time. So yeah, just light stuff. Yeah, and watching Star Trek Discovery because that just started. How about Joel?
Hi, thanks. Well, a couple of you, Nexus, were you on one of those podcasts? I feel like I've heard you recently on a podcast.
Marianne might have mentioned me in the one with Amen for Life.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
It's me.
That's you? Cool. So you're famous. Awesome. Glad to be here. I'm trying to keep my head down and focus on the tech behind the website. And for those of you that are new, the very first thing I wanted to focus on is making sure we had a good queer burners directory of the theme camps, which is sort of has been done manually every year and is kind of hard to maintain and not that exciting. And it was one of the things that I was most enthusiastic about because it seems like a good way to get new people who are interested in Burning Man and are interested in hearing about, finding a theme camp that might be fun to get to know or to party with or to join. Seems like a really useful feature. And so I worked on that, and I'll give some little demos today, some of the stuff I've been working on. But really, I've just been trying to make sure that the website looks spiffy and modern. It's got about 10 years of WordPress craft and history. And so by the end of the year, our hope is to have it all shiny and new and clean and a great new launching point. And then my rule as of a couple of weeks ago is that I'm only allowed to spend 15 minutes a day reading any kind of news source. So because I found that spending 9 hours a day reading news sources is just the same 15 minutes of misery kind of repeated. Whereas if I just do it once a day, I get the same amount of information with less unhappiness. That's my theme in life until after the election.
Yeah. Lots of deep breaths and just.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah. Man, we had at my work, we had a shit show of an online fundraiser yesterday, so that was a good time. I am involved with Career Burners because I think it's really important to support the community, and I want to be able to help build the nonprofit and figure out how to. One of the areas that I work in a lot is focusing on the capacity of organizations and of programs, and so people can do amazing work, and that's what I really enjoy doing. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Cool.
So just starting in on the agenda a little bit here. There's a lot to just kind of breeze through, and I kind of threw a lot at this page. So guys, bear with me on that. I think our first topic is something that Joel started in a little bit already. So this might be a good time to just kind of go in that direction. We talked about doing a review of the documentation that's already on the site and editing it for Career Burners directory. Has that been happening, or what's going on with, because you talked about, I'm sorry, Wink, talking about doing some of those updates.
Yeah, I got, the logo took me much longer than because I'm not really an Illustrator person. That was my focus. So I can catch up on that now. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I can show you a couple of things that I've done, not that much mostly, but I've tried to create some. Well, here, let me share my screen, and then I'll show you what I've done and what the status is. And it's sort of a matter of like everything could use some editing, and it's just a question of how deep you want to go. Like if there's something that was, a trip report from 2015 that has a link that's now broken, does somebody need to fix that, or does that? So
yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is that there's a lot of heavy editing. My voice needs to come out of this.
Okay.
And I'm kind of counting on other people to kind of create that position where less opinions, more focused on breadth and meaning of what we're trying to do here.
What we're trying to do right now. So here's some of the stuff I've done and over the last couple of weeks. Wink gave me the new queue with a hole in it, so it looks a lot better. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
As you know, we have some.
I can't see yours.
You don't see my screen?
No, I'm on mine.
Oh, you got to stop sharing.
Okay, let me see. Hold on.
Somehow it let me share even.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay, do we see Glam Cox now?
Yep.
Okay. As you know, if you hit refresh every 5 seconds, the banner changes to something else. And there's just 5 that it rotates among, but it's always got that logo there. I made this pink. I made the headlines pink. We can make it more pink. I thought this is about the right amount of pink. But if anybody feels like we need to even more, that's definitely possible. The the top, we decided to put on the top level navigation kind of the main stuff that we want you to read, the important stuff. And that's what you see up at in the top black bar here, Camp Directory, go to Burning Man. So Camp Directory is now the fully automated Camp Directory. By default, it's showing you the last full year if it's before January 1st, and after January 1st, it will attempt to show you the next year. And so that you're kind of either you're basically looking at this year's camps, so this calendar year's camps at all times. And this is, you've seen all those. Going to Burning Man is a little page, which definitely needs a lot of work, but it's the sort of an introduction to people that want to go to Burning Man and want to know where to start, where to get started. I put a placeholder, a link to All of Us, which is just this page right now, which is the current All of Us page. There's links also to the historical pages, and then when 2021 comes along, we'll have that.
Can we take a step back for just, don't get too mired down in the content right now, because that's part of the discussion today too. I mean, we did talk about just some changes with some color and font and stuff like that. And it looks like your header font is new. Am I seeing that right?
And it's always been just whatever plain.
Well, looking at your headers, like All of Us, the unofficial regional.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that is new. I like the softness of those. It really matches the logo lettering to some degree. It's a variant that's just enough. Any thoughts on that, you guys?
Well, I mean, I guess, Joel, I could send you the font that was used in the logo.
My experience has been that it's not a good idea to use the same font from a logo type as a headline font.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Somehow that does something. That's just what I was taught at one point. It's just sort of like, if you go to the Coca-Cola webpage, you don't expect to have every page to be in Coca-Cola script. But that said, happy to take suggestions. I do want to show you a couple of things. Scott, I brought in all the old history here.
Oh, I love you.
As much as, at least the ones for which we have directories.
I see. Okay.
So those are now just sort of imported in here in whatever format. You know, it's whatever it was before. I haven't done too much.
Okay.
I've kept these.
So
whatever you have, it has.
This is going to take us back to our discussion about content too, I think. I think there's such a thing as too much in some cases. And I'm looking at Wink for some input too, because I think one of our, I mean, my opinion is to keep it a little more simpler than it was on the previous web version of the website. So we might be doing something a little bit more simple. Maybe, and I do have some thoughts on this area. Like, I would like, to see the camp directory as option expanded a little bit, like importing the previous years. And then, instead of having that history with all of that information on there, maybe just little vignettes that are captured for those years. Maybe that link would be actually a directory page.
Well, let's, I'll pick one, which is like 2017 or something. Basically, I mostly just cut and pasted as a placeholder in, but it's now all in a state where once you log in, just log in here. Any of us or anyone that wants to edit will have an edit button and be able to literally go in there and change anything about how that history page appears. My sense is that everything under history is like, hey, you're really here to dig into the history. That's where that is, and that's what you want. And you don't necessarily need, hey, the gates will open 2 hours earlier this year than they opened last year. Like, that's probably not necessary, but there's some stuff that's that's still kind of useful there that I think it's nice to keep around. But really, these are going to be like, these are the top 3 links: directory, Going to Burning Man, and All of Us are where we expect most people to go. And if you shrink if you're on a phone, you can still see everything. The last thing I wanted to show real quick, where do we put it? History, this one. There's the content warning is what it looks like, and you can dismiss it.
Wait a minute, it went so fast I didn't see what
I don't know
happened.
how to get back. Let me log out so you see this as a user will see it. That's all I have now. I can change anything about that, and we could put that on any pages that we want to. I can change the wording. It doesn't right now block you from seeing the page, but I don't think it actually has to. I don't want to require people to click through to get to a primary page.
So can we just step back and go back to the to the agenda real quick? Because a lot of things you're hitting on are actually part of that conversation.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place.
It's okay. I just want to, how do I do this now?
It is helpful to get like an overall tour of it for sure.
Yeah.
How
do I get back to
the main thing besides, so you got the homepage, it's got some text saying welcome to Queer Burners. The directory is really kind of the highlight of it. And this has little cards for every camp that has submitted that you can click on, and it's got a little bit of information about the camp, location, URLs, that kind of stuff. And one of the new features is you can, where do we have that? Do we have this? You can put these little logos if whether you have showers, water, meals, etc. You can filter camps by various categories that the camp is identified as. Camps that are in the East Village sector. East Village is 430 area, I guess. The 430 zone, and West Village is 730. And then however camps want to identify. And then this, I hope, is a new feature that will be useful next year of seeking new members. So camps can just check a box. When you are, let's find my camp. If you own a camp, and if you're logged on again. Turtles, there's me. If you own a camp and you log on, you have a little edit link, and that's sort of one of the new features that will make it possible for us not to get involved really, and to just allow the camp owners to upload their own pictures, maintain all their own information about their camp, and change it. Like when they get their info from placement, they can go and put their address in there. So that's the camp directory feature as it stands right now. It's all highly responsive. So on a phone, it scrolls the way you would expect. And that's really kind of like, that's the main thing that's here. There's a page about going to Burning Man. There's these history pages, which will show you camps in previous years. This is not particularly useful, but wherever we had old stuff on the website, I've pulled it into the history page. And then at the bottom, FAQ, privacy policy, and how to contact us. So that's kind of the main thing there. This is all right now at queerburnersdirectory.com, but the idea is that this will replace queerburners.com sometime around the end of the year.
Looks great.
So yeah, sorry, let's go through the agenda in order.
All right, let me see if I can get back to that real quick. Damn it, where'd it go? There it is. All right, come on, screen, stop. Okay, sorry about that. So one of the things I was kind of hoping to do was to start walking through some of this, and then we could talk about suggestions and changes and kind of look at the flow overall. The work that you've done, Joel, has been fantastic. I want to I think is when I talk about simplicity, am I on the right page as far as paring down the information and, you know, trying to keep it from going below the fold and stuff like that? Does that make sense? So you can kind of look at the screen and kind of see what's going on.
I would say that makes sense up until you get to history. And I would agree with Joel that if someone's interested in history, that there can be, you know, some edits. But I think at that point, if you're curious about 2017, you know, it's there and you can dig deep with what's already been created rather than, I think it'd be a shame to lose some of the things that have already been written. So, but I think up front, it could be tight so that, because at that point, people aren't really, probably not reading much, just looking for direction and where they want to go.
Okay, so, but when we're looking at like, so when we look at like the greeter station, for example, in the first page, you know, we would tighten this up, edit it down a little bit. A lot of these links. What's that? Oh, sorry. I thought somebody said something. And Wink is already working on this stuff on the side anyways, but I just wanted us to kind of look at each page and kind of see if there's something that should be there or is missing, or if there's a feedback on it. So that was the greeter station. And then is there anything anybody wants to add to that, or?
I'd say that now that the structure is like fleshed out, it'll be easier to edit, and I think easier to sort of like, I think it's going to take all of us like clicking through and seeing how, you know, are things in a place that make sense to us. So I think we have this template now that's functional and we can see how it works. I think that's going to help a lot.
Okay, I agree. So if we work with what Joel's already created, and we, you know, add and take away from that, I think it's a good framework. It's a good skeleton, and with meat that's already there that we can work with and mold, right?
Right.
So jumping down to camp directory. So these are the top level ones. These are the ones that are linked at the top of the page. When I put tier 1 on here, that's how I understand that. So the question about 2020 I wanted to put on the table is, do we just eliminate that, or do we have a page that explains what happened for 2020? Because we don't have any entries for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we do is we treat it like a history page where we say 2020, the burn didn't happen. You know, there were a few virtual burns, there were a few cool things. Celestial Bodies did all these awesome things. Go check those out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, but I mean, that would be a content page rather than a directory page.
Well, that's the thing is too, is like, so the directory, is that sitting there like an iframe, and then you could put content around it? Or is that, I mean, I can look, but I'm just.
No, so for right now, that doesn't have any additional content, but that it's not even an iframe. It's just like, that's the directory. That's the whole thing that page is. Ooh, I forgot to make it big. If you want to stick content above that, and see, I feel like when you say, hey, I'm a camp directory, I feel like that wants to feel sort of ephemeral, like, hey, these are the camps. I'm going to Burning Man in a month. These are the theme camps that will be there. I just got back from Burning Man. These are the camps that were there. Then when I go on the history page, if I'm looking at camp directory for 2018 or something, I want to see the camps that were there in 2018. And I could see some kind of, and I think that is actually what's there. But it'd also be cool to maybe see, you know, what you had there before on the site, which was a paragraph about the theme and maybe some news about what happened that year.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that I was thinking about, instead of having 2 different whole pages about 2018, that maybe, you know, for the living page, the directory, in one section, and then what happened that year in another part of that same page. Is that?
Yeah, we'll go to an older page. Go to like I don't know, 2015 or something.
Okay.
Or even 2017.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the archived ones are of that form. And that was easy to do because I just cut and pasted the old table of camps and any other content that was there. And that let me put those awesome pictures, those maps that we had on there. And we can cut and paste more. Like, for example, 2015 is a trip report, which I think has some useful historical stuff on it. I didn't import that. That still goes to the old site.
Okay.
Because that feels like the historical stuff also starts to feel like, if it starts to get a little rusty, that's what it is. That's what history is.
Okay.
But so I think what will happen as we go into future years, though, we'll still have these sort of snapshots of the directory from each year. And we'll have to think about if we want to add a historical paragraph on top of each year. But that's not going to be a problem until after.
Okay.
Until after 2020, really.
Yeah, I just want to resonate with what Joel shared too, like thinking about first time visitors, right? They're not going to have any context, and to just be missing 2020 without anything to share about it is they're going to be wondering why. So I think a placeholder, or not placeholder, but like contextual paragraph to be like, this is what happened in 2020, and that history menu item would make a lot of sense, and similar to the other history pages where there's like contextual paragraphs at the top of it.
Yeah. I'm in agreement now, because when I wrote this is different than where we were at. Now that I have this, it makes more sense. So I was just proposing the question with that one. So the default pages for directories just seems a little confusing to me still. We talked about the year appearing on there, but it doesn't sound like that's doable.
No, it is, but I think the last time we agreed that the idea is that this is, I'm not even thinking about years. I'm going to Burning Man. What are the camps? Like now, if you go into history and you click on 2019, you get the 2019 directory and it says 2019. If you go to the website and you just click on directory, you're not in history land, nobody tells you, right? So click on, right now, if you click history and then go to 2019.
Well, I mean, because here I am, I'm going to the website, right?
Yeah.
And I'm new and I want to say, oh, what's the camp directory? And I come here.
Right.
And I get, okay, so this is all the camps at Burning Man for every year?
These are the current camps.
Yeah, I guess active would be the.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're going, most people are here like a month before they go to Burning Man, right? And then they're looking at the camps that are going to be there in a month. Or they just got back from Burning Man and they're looking at the camps that were just there. So the important thing, I think, is like during the block of time around Burning Man, you're seeing the camps that are listed for that year. I don't think you need somebody to say, some of these camps didn't show up, or
I got you. But that means in January 2021, this link here will take me to
something pretty blank. Yeah.
Hold on, to this.
Yeah.
Like, what am I looking at?
You're looking at, we don't have any camps for 2021, so please submit
it's going to be up to us maybe to be proactive, like, whatever camp I'm a part of, maybe I put that in there at the beginning of the year and wink, or maybe we're proactive putting it in.
I guess I would say 2021 shouldn't appear until after the burn. Like, it's active, everything's active in the camp directory. And then after the event is held, things could be.
Well, I'm going to make, this is a thing that's not here yet. There's going to be, I don't want to get too, I don't want to get too bogged down into this, but what I was envisioning is that around January 1st, we would start to we would contact all the people that have submitted camps in the past and all the people that we know and through all of our communications channels and say, hey, if your camp is planning to come in 2021, please make sure your listing is up to date. And they'll come in, and there's going to be a feature here that lets you copy last year's camp info to this year. So if I log on, the first thing I'll see is, hey, you own this camp, Future Turtle, if you want to bring it over to 2021, and then you can edit some things if they've changed, or you can just basically copy it complete. So I think by the time people that aren't in the leadership and camp leadership start looking at this site, which is going to be March, April, May, June, when they start thinking about going to Burning Man, we'll already have a list of who we expect to be there. We'll already be up and complete.
No, absolutely. I'm picking up what you're putting out, but I think Nexus had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, it seems like, and I'm sorry, and thank you for letting me join this. I don't think I shared my comms experience, but I can do that later too. It seems like for every year, the idea is to have camps actively opt in to be included again. But I wonder if just one of the orgs I worked with was a membership org, and like having people like update their profiles was definitely like a labor of love, not impossible. But I'm wondering if we might want to consider actually like having people opt out and just rolling camps from the previous year over. And then if they have a pattern of not being responsive after a couple of years, because my concern would be that we start with people who've replied, but then either like leadership transitions or there are different points of contact, and like it becomes more work to like then keep following up to make sure it's up to date. But also not every camp is going to go every year, and so I'd be worried about a camp that is actually active and taking a break not being included, because I think there's still value in them being a part of this directory. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, what happened in previous years, there were always, like, I don't see any years, and then when I look through the historical archive, I don't see anybody missing.
No, every year people people want to actively submit their camp, and no one's been just rolled over or just added. It's always relied on people to submit themselves. And honestly, I mean, that's the way I think we started off with this page, and I think we should, have people, sorry about that. We should have people, submit their camps that are looking for people and want to be recognized as being out there. Because I think the value of this camp directory is people networking with other queer camps and knowing where they're at. Because it's not always obvious, even though the Time to Burn app will flag queer camps and queer activities that are out there. This is just a way for people at home to make notes for themselves and know where they're going and where their people are at,
I also feel like with the culture of Burning Man, where you have to submit to placement each year, and it's a little more like expected that you have to update information. So yeah. I'm less concerned about people being willing to update.
There's always there's that Google Maps thing, the unofficial BRC directory, and like that's got 75% of the camps show up on that thing, and it's entirely because they submitted, not because they got data from placement or anything.
Yeah,
I would just suggest though that 2021, if that's a place to like it's not history. Like 2021 is not history, so it's in the wrong place. If we need a tab for people to update their info, we need to figure out where to put it, but I just wouldn't, it's not history.
Yeah, I should.
Well, the camp directory button is going to take them directly to 2021 anyway. So it's going to
start. I know, but I'm just saying 2021 is not history. So it doesn't, we need a better place for it.
Or would something to consider being like, is there another term instead of history to use, like by year? And that way, like it can be in the same place and just be the next year.
Yeah, I'm real. I can change anything. I think it's not worth spending that much time on, because the number of people that are sitting there saying, "I wonder what camps came in 2017, didn't come back in 2018." Like this is a rare use case. So
we don't. I mean, I'm picking up what you're putting down. We don't need to stew on it too long, and And I think that, by the time we meet next time, you'll probably have some new ideas that you will say, hey, I thought about what you guys were talking about last week. So let's take a look at this. So
I think the main thing we want to do, we do want to put a 2020 history page there with some description of what happened in 2020. I think 2021 should actually just disappear for now. And we can add a descriptive note or something on the, if you go to camp directory without specifying a year, we could say, these are the camps that we knew about in 2019. Come back January 1st and we'll start assembling our directory for 2021.
Okay.
And I do think that we could build some content for 2020 because you're right, like Celestial Bodies had a strong digital presence. There's other
there's quite a few
other camps.
something really strong for 2020. Gender,
Comfort and Joy.
Comfort and Joy. Yeah.
And we might be able to, share some of that content I think that could be cool actually.
So stepping out of 2020 and 2021 right now, just back going to this page a little bit is, I was thinking about like a like button that could be saved. The information could be saved by user, maybe by using a cookie or something like that. So if they wanted to come back and look at what they looked at before, they could easily find it. I mean, this is just an idea. It's just throwing.
You're talking about it's saved to the user, but we never see it as like not uploaded to us in any way.
Yeah, I mean, or I don't know if it's worth saving that information for us, but can I put that in your little bag to think about?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Wink, do you have any, anyone else or Winks, do you have any feelings on that? Because I think it could be
I have a negative, my initial feeling is negative. It's like, why are we it's like a contest then somehow. But I understand if you're doing it to track where you want to go back to.
Yeah. It's not as a contest, it's just for a person to try to follow up on their camps that they and maybe
like having their own personal directory.
Yeah. So it's a bookmark, not a like.
Yeah. But we can put a heart on it,
favorite
or whatever.
Favorite. Yeah.
Because I was thinking like Facebook, and I had a similar reaction to Wink.
Yeah, well, we all have that feeling with Facebook.
Well, I think if the goal was to have people understand what the button was, bookmark is understood that, okay, I'll get back there. A heart might not be clear that I'm going to find them again, or
I like that.
So just trying to think in terms of like the web paradigms, like what do people expect buttons to do? But I guess, would that like heart bookmark resort the list then? Or how would it help you find, if I want to find Land of Monkey again, because I was intrigued by that description, it just shows up next to their name or something? Or
if it was just using a cookie to track that, right, it would be completely on their end.
I know, but where will it appear? Like if I'm on the directory, scrolling through the directory, is there going to be a little heart next to the names that I already liked, or does the list get resorted?
I was just hoping to kind of put that into Joel's head and see what he thought, and then maybe we could revisit in 2 weeks or so, if that's doable. Joel.
It's doable. It would be, just to be clear, there's a thing called local storage as opposed to cookies, and it would be local storage, and that just means it's never transmitted to the server, and that saves us from all the privacy warnings, and this site uses cookies banners that we currently don't have because the site doesn't use cookies. Like we actually, we're in a nice position of not actually storing anything about people that come to our site until they go log on, and that allows us to avoid the that stupid banner that you see on every other web page in the world.
Honestly, I want to avoid that like the plague,
Yeah.
I have that with Queer Burners as it is on WordPress, and it was a headache.
Yeah. I can imagine like a bookmark link on each one and we do have that filter thing. So you could say filter, show me my bookmarked camps. I guess the main use case I think of there, if we're not transmitting that information to this, if we transmit it to the server, then it's like fun information for the camp. They can say, you were favorited 37 times. Although maybe that's not fun. Maybe it's just irritating.
No.
Facebookism.
Well, and so related to that, if it's meant to be functional, like for the user, then also related to the counter, is it even necessary to have a counter, especially if it's not public facing?
Right. It wouldn't be possible to have a counter if we never transmit it up to us. But I think of that, like, let me go through a list of these camps and check off several that I might want to visit, and keep that list.
Yeah.
That might be a neat feature.
All right, you put that in your pot and we'll revisit that. Okay. And then the next page, does anyone else have anything on this directory thing that we should tap into before moving on? Okay, so going to Burning Man. So I want to put a bug in your hat because I was wondering if we should change the name. Like Burning Man, and the reason I'm saying this is because Burning Man to some people is just Black Rock City. You know what I mean? Are we going to Black Rock City? Is that what we're talking about here? Or are we talking about participating in the Burning Man community or the queer burner community? And so I just was thinking that it would be probably better to change the name of that page.
To Black Rock City, you mean? Going to Black Rock City?
Like going to Burning Man implies that for some people, it's just Black Rock City for 1 week a year.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that page is more about, 365 days of the year. And, the 10 principles, finding their local communities, what these things mean in the community, gayborhood, queerborhood, queer burners, all of us. What are those things and how do I participate?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's almost like what might be an about section for other websites then? Like, is it really like about queer burners and here are the different ways you can participate in the community, whether it's going to the regionals, whether it's going to the big burn, whether it's like participating in camp year round?
Well, that's a good question, because we talked about the about name in our previous meeting and we referred that to a specific page, I think, right? Was it this page?
Yeah.
I do think there's value too, and maybe it's on a separate page that's about going to Burning Man at Black Rock City versus like Burning Man 365.
Well, going to Burning Man at Black Rock City already exists out there on the Burning Man website.
Yeah, but you don't think there'd be stuff specific to queer burners we would want to share?
No, but I think that's specifically what we should be talking about. Yes, there's Black Rock City. You can find out more information at the burningman.org website, but we could talk about the East Village, West Village situation, being queer at Burning Man, safety, Nexus.
I wonder if there's an opportunity to even like play with all of us and like maybe this can be the one of us section and then like what does it mean to be one of us? And then you can talk about the community around, you can talk about going to Burning Man. Like there are a lot of ways you can even break out that section.
Sorry, I'm
getting to like copy.
I love that, but I want to hear what other people have to say. I like your idea a lot.
I have sort of there's sort of an inside baseball thing that happens. Like if this were burningman.org, we would say, what, Black Rock City? That's just one regional. It's like 1% of what we do here. What are you talking about? And that's, cute. To 93% of the people that haven't been, if you ask them what Burning Man is, they're not going to tell you it's a community, it's a lifestyle, it's Burners Without Borders, it's blah, blah, blah. It's an event for a week in the desert of Nevada, and then there's some regionals. And the event is way better known, known by millions and millions of people. Hundreds of millions of people know what the event is and have their opinions about it and may want to go to it or may think that it's a satanic ritual. And everything about like being a burner and in your own community and stuff like that is secondary, and they're only going to learn that stuff after they go to the event. So when you're talking to newbies, my personal belief is 95% of the time they're here because they want to go to the event in the desert. And if you start talking about being a Burning Man is all about not leaving poop in your neighbor's backyard, that doesn't, they just feel like they went to the wrong place. Or you haven't explained that. You haven't explained the transition from, what we consider to be a burner. Like, I think, I remember, since I'm young, I only went to Burning Man the first time in 2018. And then people are like, oh, you're a burner now. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know that I am one or what that is or what that means, but I'm probably not one. I'm probably just going to Burning Man. So there's a moment that has to come there. And so that's, again, my personal belief is that there has to be a space where we say, if you're going to Burning Man, here's the stuff. And also you should know there's a lot more. Regionals are often a way you get started with Burning Man if you're in a region that isn't San Francisco. If you're, so there's sort of a lot of, I don't want to, I think that if we buy too much into it's a lifestyle, not an event in the desert, and we always have to sort of qualify things with, well, it's a lifestyle.
Kind of lost in content versus, we do kind of understand that we're talking about being queer and at Burning Man, and there's these things that you should know. If you want to know about Burning Man, you're going to go over here, but LGBT Burning Man participants. So the question is less about content right now, but more like, given that the content is focused on LGBT Burning Man participants, I feel that a name change is more appropriate for this page instead of going to Burning Man, because it's not that it's not that. I wonder if shaking his head.
With what you both have said, and Joel, I definitely appreciate that, but I also wonder if, like, just by nature of people coming to this website, they're already kind of like not entering at a kind of like blank slate, just like the idea of like knowing even what a queer burner is. I feel like they already might have that foundational knowledge in terms of like, oh, being a burner in general is more than, not even more than, but yes, it might just be someone going to Burning Man. So this is an offering a suggestion, but I'm wondering if we can like almost assume like at least some knowledge about it in terms of how we're thinking about this.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
I think you would want to go for the lowest common denominator, because when you're new, I know people who have never been, but they've dug into all sorts of things, and we can't assume that people know much.
I'm not assuming.
They're gonna find us.
I'm basing this on conversations I've had with LGBTQ people who've gone to Burning Man who don't know about queer burners. And so I'm saying, like, even when looking at Burning Man, like I don't think people instinctively are like, oh, let me look up queer burners, because
I don't know. A burner doesn't even mean, a burner is a phone you throw away.
Right.
Most people.
So I just want to be clear. I'm not making assumptions. I'm like using this based on conversations I've had with people who like look at Burning Man but have no idea about queer burners, because that's not what they even think of as a possibility.
Can I
agree with Sarah that
a little bit more
trying to stick
what the queer burner, like, you're talking about these people that know that are looking up what a queer burner is. You're saying they already have the basic understanding of what being a Burning Man participant is.
Yes, and to be clear, I'm not saying we shouldn't include foundational information. This is more about how we can, like, to answer your question, Toaster, how to think about this page specifically. I certainly think that whatever this page is should be like, hey, going to Burning Man, 10 principles of acculturation. I think all the content is there. To, like, I'm specifically thinking about the question you're asking in terms of what do we think about with this section. And I think when we talk about navigation, it needs to be able to make sense for multiple people, but I don't think we necessarily need to like think about the pages we want people to get to be the like main navigation pages, right? And so I know this is probably isn't helping, but I'm just making sure we're not trying to like think about what to call this as being like, if we think about every page we want someone to go to as being a possible navigation page, then we're just going to have all the landing pages as part of the menu. So I'm trying to get it into that place of like, how can we think about this kind of creatively and and trust that like think about like how can we best direct users to be able to find what they're looking for through our navigation without necessarily needing to be like, hey, this is the page you need to go to, and that's our top level navigation. Does that make sense?
I kind of like that. We already have, we really have two top pages. We have the homepage, the Greeter's Gate or whatever, and then we have Going to Burning Man right now, whatever you want to call them. And one thing you could just do is say, listen, the homepage is where we talk about queer burners, and Going to Burning Man is where we talk about Going to Burning Man. And so if it's content about Burning Man in your community, or being queer at Burning Man, or being queer at all of us, or any of those things, that's the homepage. That's on the Greeter station, where it's like queer burners, queer burners. That's the meaning. That's the name of the website. It's the meaning of the homepage. There's a secondary. That's what that is. That's what. Yeah. If you go there, that's that. It says Greeter station, but it can say, hey. And right now, it's just kind of a bunch of words, but it could really be a lot of like, what does this mean? And that's where that content goes. And any content that's specifically about going to the Gerlach Regional and like finding your theme camp and learning about the 10 principles, and whether to bring water, or which that goes on the second page, on the Going to Burning Man page.
Well, I wonder, all of the technical, like water, let's say, as a good example, like that's taken care of by Burning Man. Like I think the first timers guide and the survival guide, there could just be a link, if we want to do that. But I don't think it's worth duplicating any of that, on this, just to keep the focus on queer parts.
Right.
But I also, and so to go back to, I agree with Sarah that keeping it at the lowest common denominator means it works for everyone. I just think we need to figure out how to balance that, because we have the people who haven't been, and then as Nexus mentions, the people who have been but didn't realize there was a queer, like there are queers who go to Burning Man who probably didn't find links to figure out that there was queer Burning Man. So, but they may have been a couple times and just camped with straight friends, at 2 o'clock and never made it over. So yeah, I don't have an answer either. I think it's something that, like, both of those audiences, we want to be sure that they can find the connection.
So are we suggesting that we just table this conversation for another day and just keep going with what we got?
I think all of us just playing with this some more and clicking through it will help us figure out like ways for it to work,
And so I want to make a note about that too. Is like if you're okay with this, me saying this, Wink, I would like any changes to go through your eyes first. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure.
I want to make sure that the voice that we're putting out is what we agreed to in the documentation. And I'm not holding on to things too tight. I'm not going to be that guy. It's just, I like some of the things that Joel was saying about, what should appear on the landing page versus, what should be on the next page and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see where that develops with you guys. Cause I think, Wink, if I understand correctly, you're still taking the lead on the website content and text.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to throw this up for consideration. If talking about the content of the Going to Burning Man section, whatever it is, I think there's a definite opportunity to like build out that section with different pages. Kind of goes through to your initial thing about not having too much content and people being able to see it easily without scrolling too much. And I wonder specifically, and Wink, maybe I should talk to you about this too. I think it'd be really interesting to like look at querying the 10 principles. So like, what can we add that isn't on the Burning Man website? And I think looking at the 10 principles through an LGBTQ lens, like what it could mean, not to be prescriptive, but to invite queer burners to like really think about what this means through a queer lens and context, could be really interesting.
That is really neat. Did you guys see that image that Disorient put out? The 10 principles to the lens of racial equality, I think is what it was called. That was fantastic. And their overall response has been really good. And it's kind of,
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was really lovely. Yeah.
what was that? Oh, yeah, I just shared it. I had to find out where it came from. It took me a minute.
And just to add on that, I think it'd be really
Run over a little
interesting,
bit?
especially. Sorry.
Are you guys okay if we run over a little bit? Okay. Joel, you're usually the one that's running somewhere. Are you okay with that?
At some point, I have to go.
Well, I'm not going to keep us going
I gotta-
forever. I just want to go through this agenda just so I can get everybody up real quick. So the items at the top of this, and it said events. I think we need to make sure events is up there too, because we're going to be focusing Queer Burner events as one of the table legs that we're standing on for what we're doing. And all of us is going to be very important on that in the not so distant future.
I used the word all of us, but I couldn't decide if that should say events or all of us.
What do you guys think? I mean, all of us is specific, but we're not going to be just all of us as far as.
Again, for the Virgin, like all of us doesn't mean anything. Events would be understood to anyone, like, and then all of us can be the lead on an events page. But I think at that top level, events is more clear.
I was going to say the same thing. The lowest common denominator is going to know what events means. If you're new, you might not know what all of us is.
I like this. We're all on the same page. Yay.
Cool.
I wonder for future consideration too, because I noticed you had the leadership development and maybe there might be other things like workshops or intensives. So I wonder if like another word to consider other in addition to events, or maybe like later down the line would just be programs, because I think programs can be inclusive of events, workshops, and whatnot.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Thank you. Yeah, so these are just a list of the past events that we did, and there's, if we look at, before 501c3 and after 501c3, I don't know if it's important to separate those two, but I don't know.
I don't think people will care.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly,
Or they'll even know what it, like for a lot of people, it'll just be like, what are you talking about?
I've made mistakes on this process. Even Joel's caught me on a big one,
No, but you are in as deep as anyone right now. So that sometimes makes it hard to look at it from someone without any perspective. So
deep is a very good word. Yes. All right, cool. And then let's see, funding. And then an important part of that is also going to be how we're helping artists and performers with their funding, but that's down the road too. We're not ready for that at this moment. And then the bottom gets the FAQ, the privacy policy, and 501c3 information. That should all be fine, right?
That's all there except for the 501c3. Is there a URL that you want that to go to?
No, we'll have content on the page, but there'll be a page there at some point that should have our basic 501c3 required information to show up there.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, I get the privacy policy at the bottom. That's like business. FAQ, like, how big a page do I have to see? I mean, just think there's some things like the contact and the FAQ. Am I always seeing that? So I'm looking at the page, and
it's always at the bottom. The FAQ and the contact. It's always at the very bottom of every page.
Well, but I'm saying that that's like when I go to Camp Directory, then like it's lost.
It's pretty low, but it's there.
Yeah, that would just be like, I get the privacy policy being buried, like that's just a business related thing. But I'm wondering if the others, I don't know, just having stuff top and bottom and having the bottom, like depending on the page you're on, it falls into that too long, didn't find it sort of.
I mean, the FAQ is really for things that you probably don't have to read, but when you yell at us and say, why did you do such and such, we can say, well, the FAQ said very clearly. Although there's some stuff right now, there's some stuff on the FAQ that's there to help people that are submitting.
Right. Can I submit my camp is a useful.
Yeah.
But again, I think this can fall into the, like, let's all, like, the structure is here now. And just think about it, sleep on it. So.
Hey, Joel, can I point something out kind of funny going on here? Watch my screen.
Okay.
I've got this, it jumps around like crazy. I'm not sure if that's something that could be fixed.
There's, you see how your scroll bar is disappearing and reappearing?
Oh, no, but now, okay.
well, that's what it was happening at the same time. It might be because you got it maximized. Let me see if I can reduce that effect. Yeah. What browser do you use there?
This one is Chrome.
Yeah, I'm using Chrome too. I think that there's something like it's the exact number of pixels you have it at. Like if 1 pixel narrower, it might not happen. Okay. I'll try to track that down because I can't.
Point it out to you.
Yeah.
And just to run through the rest of this so we're not much longer than any longer than needed. And I don't want to rush anyone, and I don't want anybody to think they're not being heard. So speak up, wave your arms, whatever you need to do to get attention. So there's a couple of Google Docs that are kind of sitting out there. One is a project log, and you guys can add and update it as well. Like if we have deliverables, like I've got stuff on there for, why don't I bring it up? I got stuff right now on there for me and Wink and Joel, for example. And I don't have a PR person yet, so I don't have that there. When it comes to content, we need to have certain channels, written content. It needs to meet, certain criteria before it goes out. But we're also getting to the point where we have to get some of this stuff going, But it's saved in the comms folder. This is just for comms and website stuff. I see why some people get mad at Zoom. And then press releases. I've got one press release in the barrel, hopefully to get to that point at some point. But I've also got a thing in there just for comms people as well. Now, to hopefully make things easier for everyone, I created a little list on where all the documentation is at that I will include on all agendas, just so people, are comfortable with finding the documents that they need. Okay. Okay. Any questions on those documents? If you guys think something needs to be added, please feel free. Updated or closed or whatever. Yep.
Not for this meeting, but Scott would love to talk to you or anyone else who's been involved with at least previous PR efforts, especially with the press release and goals. It was one of the things I managed at my last job. So just pegging it for future conversation, especially because we're over time.
Yeah, our PR persons in the past were Pretzel way back in the day, and that was Dare. And both of those guys from Glamcox.
Yeah.
And they were great, but we're at a point where need to get the engine running a little bit on this. So I'm talking about the press release so we can start talking about what we're doing and get that out. I started writing one, and the link for that is here. You guys take a look at it at your convenience. And then one of the things in regards to the website and just what we're doing, putting a bug in people's ear, what if Black Rock City is not coming back? It's something we have to seriously talk about. And I know Burning Man itself is actively trying to find out from the community if I don't want to make it sound like people don't care, but there's a lot of people that are just saying, well, I'm just moving on. And I think they're trying to figure out how the community overall feels for that. In fact, I think they've got a they're working on with an official agency to kind of explore that question, which I think is kind of interesting and telling, especially right now since 2021 is such a question mark.
There's a very, very high chance that they won't be in Black Rock City for 2021.
Yes, there's a couple of sources that have been very telling in that. One of them is also, the WHO, because, they're not going to have a vaccine until probably by the time we have to be out there, and how are they going to administer that and get people healthy enough to survive in a place that's going to kill them, So just things to think about. I'm willing to meet with anybody, at times outside of this, if people have input or want to take something on or whatever. If we've talked about something today that you want more input on, there's me, there's Joel, there's Wink, who are all taking on different responsibilities. And I think all of us would be willing to share whatever load that we have. I am, as Wink pointed out earlier, pretty deep in the hole, with what's going on. And sometimes it's hard to see over the edge because I've actively stepped into that hole and I keep going back to documents and then, and I don't want to overwhelm with ideas and concepts like the like button or anything like that, It's just a matter of keeping myself in check, and mostly it's keeping myself in check and trying to just participate with you guys in creating something that's of value to our community. And, really that means me taking myself out of the equation more because it's just been me for a few years, So that's what I'm really counting on you guys to have a fresher voice, especially when we were talking about the page for, going to Burning Man. I mean, I have a point of view, but after talking to you guys and seeing your different points of view, it's very helpful because, there's, 15 people can look at one thing and see it differently, but if we can come to, we obviously can come to common ground, and with the lowest common denominator, suggestion that was there is perfect to say, okay, we can work with this. The milestones are on every agenda, just kind of where we're at. And it's a busy time right now for that. I'm still waiting to get with Nick Farr to find out where our 501c3 application process is at. But our goal still is to have everything ready by December 1st, which is only a month and a half away. And then for a full launch on the new Queer Burners for January. It's coming up. It's been a long road. We're here. Anybody got anything you want to add before we take off?
A question. In terms of editing, I would be inclined to edit outside. Like Joel, I know you've got it set up to edit there, but I think I'll copy, edit, and then we'll have both because it's not archiving if I edit, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
okay. So
and you can, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. When the important page is copied, do it in Google Docs,
yeah.
Where if people want to review or submit suggestions or something like that.
Okay, I'll do that.
If there's something small, like you see, like a hyperlink is
a
wrong,
typo or something, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I put a folder in the comms directory just for that kind of document. I noticed that the history page is there. So, I mean, that's a good place for people to comment and make edits and stuff like that. I would like to dive in on that a little bit just to look, but
okay.
It's like I said, anything that I'm bringing to the table is I am here on a consensus based process. And I don't have an opinion that my opinion is always right. So I want to make that clear. Because I know I've been kind of like the bossy little bitch in this kind of stuff, but I'm not a dictator. I'm not, you know, being authoritarian at any level. I see you all laughing, thank God.
Maybe you were the bossy little bitch like last year, but not this year, Scott. As long as I've known you, you've been very consensus based.
Sarah's been with me for a couple years on a couple projects, and she's seen me at probably my worst a couple of times. So I've had my moments that were less than stellar, but hopefully I bounce back okay. Oh, she comes back online to, you know, add to that.
No, I'm here. I can hear the whole time. I was just going to say that the desert, you know, the desert affects everybody differently. So, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
The only question I have, or two questions, and they're kind of related. I know Career Burners has an Instagram and a Twitter, and I'm just wondering where that is and if that's an opportunity to plug into and support. Also related to that, related to the logo. Oh, sorry. I pegged that for future conversation, but Joel, should I talk to you about that?
No, actually, I just remember we did talk about Instagram and Twitter a couple of months ago. And what we said at the time is that sounds like eventually somebody's going to volunteer who knows something about Instagram and Twitter. And then we should just hook them up with the account credentials and let them do that, because none of us want to do that. So
related to that then, with the logo and to make it kind of social media profile friendly, has there been conversation about what a square kind of cropped version of it, where it's maybe just the Q with the...
Yeah, that's what we're using. You can see it in the favicon right now. It's just a Q. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would just then, and we can figure this out later, would depending on the size of it then, because I know favicons are smaller, having a large enough one for at least Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, we have either Wink or I can send you high res version that you can scale to.
Cool. And I want, let's figure it out. I wouldn't do anything without checking in first. Like, I wouldn't just go ham and have people like, what the fuck is he doing? But happy to volunteer.
Yeah,
I would direct you towards Wink on some of those questions, because he's got that artwork and he's got a beat on that already to some degree.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it, again, the logo right now is sort of a trial, and we have to see how it, you know, works in different formats. Like we discovered, like the rainbow didn't, you know, we tried using the rainbow as a favicon, that didn't work, so we went to the Q. But I think so. All of it is right now still in a testing, you know, stage, and then getting feedback.
Could I make a request then? Sorry, I just realized I did know what you mean by the favicon. I was actually thinking about, for social media purposes, like not just the Q, but still including the rainbow city map around it too as part of it. So
and we can do that too, and it would still work. The problem, that would probably.
But if we're still testing it, then we can talk about it later.
Right, but part of the test would be to I'll generate it, and then we can see what it would look like, you know. On different platforms.
Awesome.
And I do want to share, I don't think I'm the right person to be the head of the social media game, but I'm down to help in that area. I've done a lot of, you know, like scheduling posts or creating posts to be put out there in the future, or coming up with the calendars of, you know, what, you know, if there are things going on for certain times and that kind of stuff. So I would be down to be on a team that's figuring out what that's going to look like.
And honestly, in the scope of what I hope we're heading to is, so, I mean, the person that becomes the comms director, I was really concerned because I was talking with Wink about this week. It's like, you know, there's that role there where I suddenly realized there's a lot being dumped on. I just got worried, and I'm like, Wink, what do you think of this? You know, I reached out to him really fast, and then we talked about just how that, you know, spider has to grow arms, and how, you know, the more people that help with that is going to really make that actually work. And it's going to be actually with most of the roles on the board is we need, hands that are helping to support those roles. And one of the areas that I'm not strong with, to be honest with you, and I'm open to advice and support and whatever, is rallying people to be part of that. I've had my successes over time with projects, but rallying people to some of these causes has been hard for me to do, because I might be lacking something in that area. But to hear you guys speaking up and offering that energy is really appreciated. But if you do know people that want to get involved, let's bring them on.
I wonder if a neat opportunity too, like between Sarah and I, and then also reaching out to the camps who do, maybe not have a comms person, but like there's someone who's managing their Facebook page or whatever, they have social media. I think that could be a really interesting way to also plug in other camps in a way that also supports the general communications.
Exactly. We have the opportunity from the Queer Burner social media to really be highlighting, to really be uplifting all the different camps. Like it's exciting to think about what we can do there.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Yes, totally. I think that's our win right there. Is to be positive, uplifting. One of my big parts of this, for me through this process has been, uplifting artists and performers of the community with helping them with their financing. And I've got people that have asked to help be mentors for artists in our communities with burn projects and, just building and stuff like that. So there's people out there that want to participate, but getting us there is it's just part of the journey.
Well, and sorry to be Captain Obvious too, right? Until we're back to in-person events, but the work of Queer Burners or any organization is really going to be based on effective communications, meaningful, authentic, and there's going to be so much more noise out there because everyone's going to be doing it and not everyone's going to be doing it well. So I think the fact that you even have this committee and you're already thinking about it now, like the work of Queer Burners until the next event, it depends on communications and communicating well, right?
Yeah, absolutely correct. And part of that is, getting out of the way for me, and watching stars like you guys shine. And I appreciate everything that you guys have done. Quick footnote too is I've written a proposal for all of us 2021 with some financial numbers that I'll be sharing at the entity meeting on Wednesday night for anybody that'll be there for that. And then I need to start getting an events team together that is going to be focused on events for 2021 before too long. I've usually already really started down that road. And another thing right now is I got to get out there is fundraising. So I also wrote up a fundraising proposal that Joel gave me some really helpful advice for. That's in one of the folders that are shown here. And I need to start getting that out and reaching out to people that can help us get our funding started so we can, get that stuff together. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone that would be able to answer that. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll see any of you guys on Wednesday. I mean, I'm kind of expecting Nexus will be there. Will you be there, Wink?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay. And Sarah, are you going to be there for that? Did we lose her? Well, I'll follow up with her later on. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Let me make sure I have it on my calendar real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got it on my calendar.
All right, cool.
I can be there. Yep.
Look, Joel is out fast.
Yep.
Bam. Dang. All I did was change and he was gone. I saw
Okay.
her in a jacket
Thank-
walking through the room. So, all right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.